What's up, guys? It's your Sportography buddy here with another daily video. If you guys end up enjoying this video, please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe if you feel so inclined. If you have any thoughts about the stories in this video, please be sure to leave them in the comments below, as one of my favorite things about doing these videos is reading your guys' comments, even if I can't always respond to them. Thanks for watching. Holloway Bridge is an extraordinary athlete whose journey to greatness showcases immense determination, strength, and grace. Born without a fibula in her right leg, Katie had her leg amputated below the knee when she was only 20 months old. But that never slowed her down. Instead, it became the defining challenge she would face head-on throughout her life. She emerged as one of the most inspiring figures in the world of Paralympic sports, defying expectations at every turn. Her story is a testament to the power of resilience and an unbreakable spirit, but to fully grasp the magnitude of her achievements, we must start at the beginning, exploring her early life, family background, and the early signs of greatness. Katie Holloway was born on March 12, 1986, in a close-knit and supportive family in Lake Stevens, Washington. From the start, Katie's parents were the bedrock of her resilience. They did not see Katie's leg amputation as a setback, but rather as an opportunity to teach her the value of perseverance and grit. Both of her parents were fiercely determined individuals who believed that life's challenges could be met with strength and an unwavering sense of hope. Katie's father was an outdoorsman, with a deep love for hiking, fishing, and sports. He raised Katie with the belief that physical limitations should never define what one can achieve. Her mother, on the other hand, was an educator, nurturing Katie's intellectual curiosity and sense of empathy. Together, they built a foundation for Katie that combined mental toughness with an emotional resilience that would later become crucial in her athletic career. Growing up, Katie's family refused to let her feel different because of her disability. Instead, they fostered a household of inclusion, where Katie learned from an early age that her prosthetic leg was simply another tool, much like the tools her father used to fix things around the house. She was never coddled. If she fell down, she was encouraged to get right back up, brush herself off, and try again. This attitude would soon shape Katie's outlook not only on life but on the competitive sports she would later dominate. Katie Holloway came into the world on March 12, 1986, in a small town nestled in the natural beauty of Lake Stevens, Washington. The early months of her life were, for the most part, like any other baby's, filled with curious exploration and the comforting presence of her family. But it was not long before her parents noticed something different about their little girl. Doctors discovered that Katie was born without a fibula in her right leg, a rare condition that would prevent her leg from developing properly. After much deliberation, Katie's parents made the difficult decision to have her leg amputated below the knee when she was just 20 months old. Though heartbreaking, they understood this decision would give their daughter the best chance to live a full and active life. For Katie, the operation was just the beginning of a journey that would lead her to not only defy physical limitations but redefine them. From the moment she was fitted with her first prosthetic leg, Katie displayed a natural tenacity. Where some children might have withdrawn or hesitated to take on new physical challenges, Katie showed a fearless spirit. She took her first steps on her prosthetic leg with the same wide-eyed determination that she would later display on the basketball court. For her, the artificial limb was just a part of life, and her early exposure to prosthetics helped her quickly adapt to a world of physical activity. As she grew older, Katie never allowed her amputation to define her childhood. She was determined to keep up with her peers, often joining them in rambunctious games in the neighborhood, scaling playground structures, and racing across fields. But Katie soon realized that while she was just as fast and strong as other kids, there were always extra hurdles she would have to overcome. Whether it was learning to balance with her prosthetic leg or navigating the stares of curious children and adults alike, Katie became accustomed to living in a world where she had to prove herself over and over again. Katie's early life was defined by this constant push and pull between wanting to blend in and striving to stand out. She loved playing sports from an early age, and basketball quickly became her passion. Despite the challenges posed by her leg, she never backed down from the court. Her parents nurtured her love for the game, often spending evenings shooting hoops in the driveway and refining her skills. The more she played, the more it became clear that Katie was not just trying to keep up, she was dominating. In elementary school, Katie's teachers and classmates marveled at her drive. She was often the first to volunteer for games during physical education class, refusing to let her prosthetic hold her back. But as much as she relished her time playing sports, there was an emotional weight that came with being different. Children can be cruel, and Katie wasn't immune to teasing or questions about her leg. Yet, even at a young age, she seemed to understand that her ability to rise above the hurtful comments and misconceptions was a strength in itself. Through these formative years, Katie developed an unshakable sense of self. Her parents, always there to support her, ensured that Katie never saw herself as a victim. They encouraged her to take pride in her accomplishments and to understand that adversity was not something to shy away from, but something to embrace. This philosophy would shape Katie's mindset as she moved through adolescence and began to set her sights on even greater goals. By the time Katie entered middle school, it was clear that her passion for basketball was something special. Her talent on the court began to outshine any perceived limitations, and those who initially saw her as the girl with the prosthetic leg soon recognized her as a formidable athlete. The seeds of greatness had been planted, and Katie Holloway was just getting started. As Katie Holloway grew into her teenage years, her love for basketball transformed from a childhood passion into something much deeper. It became her driving force, the place where she felt most alive, and the arena where she could prove, time and again, that she was not defined by her physical differences, but by her sheer willpower and skill. Her rise to fame was not instantaneous. It was forged in the countless hours spent in the gym, the sacrifices, and the unrelenting desire to be great. In high school, Katie's talent on the basketball court began to garner attention. Towering at 6 feet 3 inches, she was a force to be reckoned with, both in stature and skill. Her prosthetic leg became less of a focus and more of a footnote to those who watched her play. Her movements were fluid, her jump shot precise, and her ability to dominate the paint was unmatched by most of her peers. She quickly earned a reputation not just as an inspiration, but as a genuine competitor, someone who could hold her own against anyone, regardless of their physical capabilities. Katie's high school years were marked by a number of pivotal moments. She became a standout player for Lake Stevens High School, leading her team through intense seasons. But it wasn't just her physical presence on the court that made her a star. Katie's work ethic set her apart. She was known to arrive early to practice and stay late, refining her post moves, perfecting her free throw shot, and studying the game relentlessly. Her coaches saw in her the potential for greatness, and more importantly, they saw a young woman who would not let anything, or anyone, stop her from achieving it. The media began to take notice of this rising star, a player who was excelling in able-bodied basketball despite being an amputee. Articles were written, and local news stations came to cover her games. But Katie never wanted the spotlight to focus on her prosthetic leg. She wanted to be known for her skills, her leadership, and her contribution to the team. And she was. By the time Katie graduated high school in 2004, she had made a name for herself not just in Washington but beyond. She received a scholarship to play Division I basketball at California State University, Northridge, a remarkable achievement for any athlete, but especially for someone who had defied the odds in such a dramatic way. Playing at the collegiate level was a dream come true, and it marked the beginning of a new chapter in her rise to prominence. At Cal State Northridge, Katie continued to excel. She became a key player for the Matadors, earning respect from her teammates and opponents alike. Her physical presence in the paint, combined with her relentless drive, made her a formidable force on the court. She played 4 years of able-bodied basketball, holding her own in a fiercely competitive environment. Her perseverance was inspiring, but Katie's story was far from finished. During her time at college, Katie was introduced to the world of sitting volleyball, a sport she had never even considered. A coach from the U.S. National Paralympic Sitting Volleyball Team approached her, recognizing her unique combination of height, strength, and athleticism. At first, Katie was unsure. Volleyball had never been her focus, and the idea of playing sitting volleyball seemed foreign to her after years of standing tall on the basketball court. But after some convincing, she decided to give it a try. Little did she know, this decision would change the trajectory of her career and her life forever. Katie's transition into sitting volleyball was smoother than anyone could have imagined. Her natural athleticism and competitive nature made her a quick learner, and it wasn't long before she was excelling in this new sport. In 2006, she earned a spot on the U.S. women's national sitting volleyball team, and the world took notice. Here was a Division I basketball player, an amputee, now taking the sitting volleyball world by storm. Her rise through the ranks of sitting volleyball was meteoric. She quickly became a key player for the U.S. team, contributing to their international success and helping to elevate the sport's visibility. Katie's versatility, whether in basketball or volleyball, set her apart as an athlete who could transcend boundaries, who could thrive in multiple disciplines, and who could inspire anyone who watched her. By 2008, Katie Holloway had made her first Paralympic appearance in Beijing, where the U.S. women's sitting volleyball team secured a silver medal. The world had seen her resilience and skill on display, and her star continued to rise. Katie had proven to herself and the world that her success was not limited by her prosthetic leg, it was propelled by her indomitable spirit. With a growing legacy in both basketball and sitting volleyball, Katie was now an international sensation. Her story had become one of triumph over adversity, but more importantly, it was a story of relentless pursuit of greatness. She was no longer just the girl with the prosthetic leg, she was a Paralympic medalist, a multi-sport athlete, and an inspiration to millions. Katie Holloway's journey to greatness had been meteoric, but like all athletes, her career was not without its share of challenges and setbacks. Despite the success and accolades that came with her rise in both basketball and sitting volleyball, there were moments of intense struggle, physically, emotionally, and professionally, that shaped her in ways few could see from the outside. Following her Paralympic debut in 2008, where the U.S. women's sitting volleyball team secured a silver medal, Katie returned to the sport with renewed determination. She had tasted the intensity of competing on the world stage and felt the deep sting of narrowly missing gold. Yet, for someone as driven as Katie, silver was not enough. The fire to reach the top had been lit, and now, more than ever, she was ready to do whatever it took to win that elusive gold medal. But the path to success was not a straight line. After the high of Beijing 2008, Katie faced the grueling reality of maintaining peak performance at an elite level. Her training regimen intensified, as did the pressure. The life of an elite athlete is often marked by isolation, and Katie was no exception. With hours spent in the gym, training camps, and international competitions, it was easy to feel the weight of expectation from herself, her team, and her country. The physical toll was immense, constant wear on her body, particularly on her residual limb, made every practice a challenge in endurance. There were moments of doubt, moments when the pain of pushing through injuries seemed too much to bear. For Katie, the emotional toll of having to navigate a world of high-performance athletics while also managing her physical limitations became a constant battle. Injuries, common among athletes, were particularly complicated for her. The wear and tear on her prosthetic leg was significant, and each time she encountered a setback, it felt like climbing a mountain all over again. In 2010, Katie faced one of the hardest moments in her career. After years of pushing her body to its limit, she suffered a series of injuries that threatened to sideline her from the sport she had come to love. Her prosthetic leg was giving her more issues than ever before, and she had to undergo several adjustments to maintain her performance on the court. The injuries piled up, both physical and emotional. There were days when the thought of continuing seemed impossible, when the dream of standing on top of the podium seemed so far out of reach. But Katie was never one to back down from a challenge. She leaned on her support system, her family, her teammates, and her coaches, who reminded her of her resilience, the very trait that had brought her this far. During this time, Katie also had to confront something deeper, the notion that success was not always linear, that failure and hardship were part of the journey, and that her greatest achievements could arise from her darkest moments. The years between 2008 and 2012 were marked by constant struggle, but they also saw Katie transform into a more complete athlete. She worked on her mental game, pushing herself not just physically but emotionally, learning to navigate the highs and lows with greater grace. During this period, Katie became a leader within the U.S. women's sitting volleyball team, not just for her on-court contributions but for her ability to inspire others to keep pushing, even in the face of overwhelming adversity. In the lead-up to the London 2012 Paralympic Games, Katie's focus was sharper than ever. Her team had unfinished business. They had come so close in Beijing, but this time, nothing short of gold would satisfy them. Training was intense, with each player pushing themselves to their limits. Katie was ready, but deep down, she knew that success on this scale never came without setbacks. London 2012 was both a triumph and another heartbreak for Katie and her team. They played incredibly throughout the tournament, once again making it to the gold medal match. But in a crushing defeat, the U.S. team fell short again, taking home another silver medal. For Katie, it was a devastating blow. The loss was hard to accept, and for a time, it weighed heavily on her spirit. Once again, the top spot eluded her, and despite the silver, it felt like failure. In the years that followed, Katie would face more moments of doubt. There were whispers of retirement, of stepping away from the game she had dedicated her life to. But something inside her always pulled her back. She knew she had more to give, more to achieve. Her journey between 2012 and the Rio 2016 Paralympic Games was filled with reflection. She learned to embrace the ups and downs of her career, realizing that each setback had forged her into the fierce competitor she had become. The losses, the injuries, the near misses, all of it had built a stronger version of Katie Holloway. As Rio 2016 approached, Katie entered the tournament with a quiet confidence. She had endured the pain, she had experienced the lows, and now she was ready for her ultimate triumph. Katie's story had always been about overcoming physical limitations, emotional battles, and the weight of expectations. In Rio, everything would come together for one final push toward the top. The Rio 2016 Paralympic Games were the culmination of a lifetime of hard work, sacrifice, and unrelenting determination for Katie Holloway. She had come close to the pinnacle of success twice before, but the sting of silver medals still lingered deep within her. For 8 years, Katie had carried that weight, training with the singular goal of finally capturing the gold that had eluded her and her team. Now, as she prepared for what could be her final Paralympic Games, Katie stood at the threshold of either fulfilling her ultimate dream or once again falling short. The U.S. women's sitting volleyball team arrived in Rio as one of the favorites. They had learned from their losses in Beijing and London, growing stronger as a unit and more cohesive as a team. Katie had evolved into one of the key leaders on the squad. Her height, strength, and skill on the court were formidable, but it was her mental toughness and unshakable resilience that set her apart. She was not just playing for herself anymore, she was playing for every teammate, for the years of struggle, and for the belief that they deserved to be champions. From the opening match, it was clear that the U.S. team had entered the tournament with a renewed sense of purpose. They played with an intensity and precision that reflected their years of preparation. Katie, as a seasoned veteran, brought experience and leadership to the floor. Her blocks were impenetrable, her serves relentless, and her communication with her teammates seamless. As they progressed through the tournament, match after match, they looked unstoppable. But the road to gold would not be without its obstacles. The U.S. team faced a number of tough opponents, each hungry for the same prize. Every victory brought them one step closer to the final, but the pressure mounted with each passing game. The scars of past defeats hung in the air, and Katie knew that nothing could be taken for granted. They had been here before, so close to victory, only to have it slip away. But this time felt different. This time, the team's resolve was unbreakable. The gold medal match in Rio was a rematch against China, the same team that had beaten the U.S. in both the 2008 and 2012 Paralympics. It was a rivalry forged in heartbreak, but also one that had driven Katie and her team to push beyond their limits. The stage was set for a final showdown, with everything on the line. As the match began, the intensity was palpable. Each point felt like a battle in itself, with neither team willing to give an inch. Katie's performance was nothing short of spectacular. Her years of experience, her tireless training, and her indomitable spirit came together in a perfect storm of athletic prowess. She was everywhere on the court, blocking attacks, setting up plays, and delivering powerful hits. But it was more than just physical skill that carried her through the match. It was the culmination of everything she had fought for, the doubts, the injuries, the near misses. Katie played as though her entire career had led to this moment. As the match stretched into a grueling contest of wills, the U.S. team found themselves in the lead. Every point brought them closer to the gold, and with every point, Katie's heart pounded harder. She could feel it. The victory that had slipped away so many times was finally within reach. And then, in one final rally, the ball hit the ground on the Chinese side of the net, and it was over. The U.S. women's sitting volleyball team had won. For a moment, time seemed to stand still. The years of hard work, the sleepless nights, the heartbreak of silver, everything washed over Katie in an instant as the reality of the victory set in. They had done it. She had done it. The elusive gold medal, the one she had dreamed of for so long, was finally hers. Tears of joy and relief flowed as her teammates rushed to celebrate. They had overcome so much together, and now they stood at the top of the world. Katie Holloway, a woman who had been told as a child that her disability would limit her, now stood as a Paralympic champion. The gold medal around her neck symbolized more than just victory. It represented years of perseverance, countless setbacks, and a spirit that refused to be broken. For Katie, this was the moment she had always dreamed of, and it was even more powerful than she had ever imagined. The triumph in Rio was not just about winning, it was about proving to herself and the world that she was capable of greatness. It was a validation of her journey, a testament to her belief that anything was possible with enough hard work and determination. Katie had finally reached the pinnacle of her sport, and in doing so, she became a beacon of hope and inspiration for millions of people, both able-bodied and disabled, around the world. The gold medal in Rio was Katie's crowning achievement, the pinnacle of her athletic career, but it was also the beginning of a new chapter in her life. She had shown that with resilience and an unshakable belief in oneself, even the greatest of dreams could come true. After the triumph of Rio 2016, Katie Holloway Bridge continued to push the limits of her career, but like all elite athletes, the time eventually came when she had to reckon with her physical limitations. The grueling demands of international competition, particularly as an amputee athlete relying on a prosthetic, began to take their toll. However, Katie was far from finished, both as a competitor and as a leader. Katie's determination saw her through to the Tokyo 2020 Paralympics, where she and the U.S. women's sitting volleyball team once again claimed the gold medal, solidifying their place as one of the dominant teams in the sport. This victory marked Katie's second gold medal, adding to her two previous silver medals from Beijing 2008 and London 2012. However, her journey would not end there. Katie set her sights on the Paris 2024 Paralympic Games, aiming for a historic fifth Paralympic medal and a third consecutive gold. In 2024, at the age of 38, Katie made her fifth appearance at the Paralympic Games, an extraordinary feat for any athlete, let alone one with her history of triumphs and challenges. She remained a central figure in the U.S. women's sitting volleyball team, which entered the competition as the reigning champions from Rio and Tokyo. The team, composed of experienced Paralympians alongside emerging talents, faced fierce competition from longtime rivals like China, Brazil, and Canada. Though Katie was no longer in the prime of her physical career, her leadership and experience were invaluable to the team. As the U.S. pursued their goal of a historic three-peat, Katie's presence on and off the court embodied resilience and excellence, inspiring younger players and solidifying her legacy as one of the most decorated athletes in the sport. Beyond the court, Katie's legacy expanded far beyond her medal count. She had become a powerful advocate for athletes with disabilities, sharing her story to inspire others to break through barriers and challenge societal expectations. She continued to mentor younger athletes, using her platform to promote inclusivity and perseverance. As she gracefully transitioned away from competition, Katie's name became synonymous with overcoming adversity and reaching new heights in both sport and life. Katie Holloway Bridge's career will forever be remembered as one that transcended the boundaries of what it means to be an athlete, leaving a lasting legacy that will inspire generations to come. This is where the story ends. Share your opinion in the comments. Did you like the story?